Hey, welcome back, everyone, to Developer Tooling Community Meeting. I'm Josh. I'm joined by Jane. Yeah, I guess maybe do some intros since it's been a few months. Yeah, Jane, you want to give yourself a quick intro?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Jane. I'm the product manager on DevTools and also previously on Wallets. I am so excited to be here, and it was great to meet many of you, our wallet builders, and also developers at NearCon. So very excited to be back and share what we're building in Q4 on the DevTools team. And I'm so excited that we have David, who's just joined us. David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there. I'm thanks for the introduction, Jane. I'm the new engineering manager for Developer Tools, and I'm super excited to be here. And it's really nice to be engaging with the community and talking about what we plan to build, and hopefully letting you guys tell us what you would like us to build as well, which is always, I'm glad it's a bit of a two-way street.
Right on.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, anybody new joining, please feel free to ask any questions along the way. There's a little Q&A tab at the bottom. We'll also monitor the chat, but yeah, go ahead and drop them in as they come. We'll answer questions as we go. And then, yeah, without further ado, Jane, are you going to be presenting?
I was hoping you could present.
You're hoping I can present. Okay. All right. It's a good thing I got the slides up. All right. Put me on the
Nice.
spot here. Let's see. All right.
It's real.
All right. Let's do this. We will start the slideshow. Can everyone see my screen? Does this work?
Yeah,
All right, cool. No problem.
All right, so thanks everyone. So we want to go over the agenda today. So first we'll talk about the DevTools Q4 goals, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about Wallet Selector and what's upcoming. And then we'll be providing an update to Near API.js. This is a library that is the community is super involved in. So thank you for giving us feedbacks here. And then get into a little bit into JavaScript SDK and our API. And then David will give us updates on the Rust tooling stack. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so the Developer Tools team mission, just to reiterate, is to deliver the intuitive, productive, and reliable tools for developers in your ecosystem for the Web3 development. So this is something that we're working towards, and there's a goal that we're striving to each quarter. So in Q4, we have a specific set of goals. Let's go to the next slide, please. So we are working on driving the adoption of Pagoda JavaScript Stack. The JavaScript Stack was launched earlier this year at ETH Toronto, and we're making a number of changes. We see smart contracts deployed on testnet and some on the mainnet. So our goal here is to add the features that's needed by the community to the JavaScript stack and make sure that this stack becomes more mature over time, and we can bring in JavaScript developers into our ecosystem. And with that, we're also building an end-to-end application cycle with the Pagoda console team, where we will be bringing Web 2.0 developers into our ecosystem and providing them with a platform where they do not have to leave Pagoda console in order to create a smart contract to deploy their DApp onto the mainnet. So that is a very ambitious goal and something we're working with cross team. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the ABI. So this is the application binary interface, which is the interface to your smart contract. We actually launched this earlier this year. And speaking with developers in the community, I realized not too many folks are aware that this is now available. So this is something that you can use, and we are making a number of improvements to the ABI. The ABI will eventually be able to be generated automatically and be part of Pagoda console, and where you can interact with this ABI seamlessly using a web front end. And finally, we're going to be delivering reliable tools to enhance the existing Rust developer experience, and David will share more about that. So here are 4 high-level team goals. for this quarter. Okay, so I will remind you what is the JavaScript stack. So this is something that we've launched and talked about, marketed at the NearCon. And there is a new addition to the JavaScript stack. So to remind you, at the top of the JavaScript stack is wallet selector, and this is the library that a DApp developer can use to connect their DApp to many wallets in the ecosystem. And this is the recommended way to integrate your DApp to wallets. And next is the Near API JS. So this is a general purpose library that allows you to make interact with the blockchain, make RPC requests, and also sign transactions using your wallets. So we're making a lot of changes here. Next is the JavaScript SDK, which we launched earlier this year. This allows you to build your smart contract in JavaScript and TypeScript. And similarly, Workspaces is also launched this year that allows you to write tests for your JS contracts. The Near CLI is a shell tool that many of you are familiar with. You can interact and build on Near and connect to the wallets. And finally, new to this list is the JavaScript Near Lake framework. And this framework is coming from the data team. It is a way to easily create indexers for data aggregation. So if you're thinking about making a DApp where you're looking to subscribe to a stream of blocks and then map reduce this data and show and add your own logic and show that in your front-end DApp, this is a library that you want to look into. And it's small, it's easy to use. So please check it out. I know the data team has put a lot of effort into releasing and making this Lake framework super intuitive to use. So please check it out. So this is our JavaScript stack, and it should cover your needs for writing to your entire DApp in JavaScript. Cool. So let's get into wallet selector. So as a reminder, in the Near ecosystem, we have a high-level ecosystem goal to diversify our wallet offerings. So as more and more wallets are introduced, it is no longer recommended for you to integrate with a single wallet. And so instead, we recommend that you move over to the wallet selector. So at NearCon, we launched this new interface for wallet selector. On the left-hand side, you, as a developer, you can select the wallets you want to show and the order in which to show it. On the right-hand side, we're providing information for a first-time user who may not be aware of what a wallet is and onboard them. And we're going to go a little bit farther in terms of onboarding Web2 users and help Web3 DApp developers think through what their onboarding flow could look like and how to capture more users from the Web2 world. So most recently, in the most recent release, next slide, please, which was released earlier this month, just last week, we've added supports to 3 ecosystem wallets. So congratulations, the wallets are added: Coin98, Here Wallet, and Nearfi Wallet. And we have a number of other wallets in the pipeline to be added. And also, I should also mention that we added documentations for the new Model UI package that we released at NearCon. And this Model UI package is for plain JavaScript. So if you're writing your application using plain JS or using Vue or Angular, this is a Model UI package to use. So there's better API documentation for how to set up that package. We also made a number of small UI changes that makes it, that basically pay down some of the tech debt that we've done earlier for the NearCon release, and add more documentations. So what's next for the wallet selector? This is a really strategic and interesting library that sits between the DApp developers who are looking to connect their DApp to wallets and onboard users. And it has to do with the first-time user onboarding experience, especially for Web2 users who may not have used any wallets on Near. So we're moving one step farther to help the DApp developers think through their user acquisition journey. So with that in mind, And in tandem with this meta transaction, which is a new NEP that's authored by our co-founder Ilya, allows transactions, allows the creation of account without gas, and allows certain transactions to be sent without gas. So the relayer would pay the gas of the transaction, which means when user comes and log into your DApp for the first time, they do not necessarily need to get near from buy near before they can start interacting with your DApp. So thinking through what that experience looked like, we realized how important it is to onboard Web2 users using social logging. And this is the set of logins that they're familiar with, which is, like Google, Twitter, etc., Facebook, they've seen previously. So in the next release, we're looking to integrate social logging, allowing users to log in from an existing social account they have access to. Now, what happens at this point is the user is logged into the DApp, and then we have created an account for them. But this account has not been imported into a wallet yet. So in the near term, with meta transactions, the user can interact with the DApp. However, over time, the DApp should think through how to move that account into a wallet. And we've thought through this, so we'll be also introducing more customization options inside the wallet selector, so the developer can customize a call to action to the user to import the account into a wallet where they can purchase more near or sell an NFT that they've claimed, sell fungible token that they have claimed, etc. So we're thinking through the entire user journey and helping the DApp developers to figure out how to onboard Web2 users so that they can create an account, import into a wallet, right, without leaving the context of the DApp. And historically, they would have to go to another website, which disrupts the journey. So this is something that we're working on right now. And finally, as this library is maturing, we're going to support localization. This is something that's asked by the community to allow non-English speakers to also interact with this library. So we're looking for community contributions in terms of translation here. Cool. All right, and then just as a reminder, we are working hard on the Near wallet transition. And earlier we have already launched a banner that allows the users, the Near wallet users, to disable their 2FA. And the team is working hard on enabling account exports. And this is going to be completed as soon, hopefully in October. So what this means for the DApp developers is now is the time for you to integrate wallet selector. So if you're still connecting to the Near wallet, please use the wallet selector, because as soon as phase 1 launches, users will no longer be able to create an account in the Near wallet, and that may really disrupt your user flow. So yeah. All right. Is there any questions?
Yeah, we have a few questions. Yeah. So far we have, with all the changes going on at Near, I wonder if the DevTools team would also be the team in the future that would also make DevOps tools like monitoring, alerts, etc., or who would be the team that does that? I think the answer to that would be that's the console team, and that team meets on the first Thursday of each month, and yeah, they're basically the team that's working on Pagoda console. But yeah, some of the tooling would definitely be involved with that, but the DevTools teams is more working on like libraries and software development kits. Yeah, David or Jane, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's most likely to be a collaboration between the DevTool team and the console team.
Cool. You mentioned in the first slide that there is an end-to-end application lifecycle. So this individual is asking, is there going to be no low code or no code tools coming?
Yes, so this is something that we have talked about internally. There is going to be potentially a low code solution. So it would be something very similar to the Open Zeppelin contract wizard. So that's something that's in the ideation stage. When I said end-to-end application lifecycle, we're thinking of, finding a project that in a gallery, so in a place where there's many different projects, be able to fork that project, make edits, deploy to testnet, and deploy to mainnet, all within Pagoda console to be specific. So that is a very huge lift, and the tools team and the console team are going to work together to make that possible. But the no-code tools are something that is very much loved, as I understand, in other L1s, and something that we're looking into. So absolutely, that's a great idea.
Cool. Next question. Are you guys familiar with the project rain.dev? And if so, any chance of integration of Rain with the console? The console folks would be, again, the first Thursday of the meeting to chat with about that. But I did ping an internal person when you asked that question earlier, and their response was, yes, we are familiar with them and have been in communication. We do have plans to collaborate when we can. They do use a different format and strategy by using WIT. But they did mention, the Rain folks, that they are considering on working on a migration using our ABI to their WIT. So there, oh, I missed the console. There isn't currently any plans to use WIT in console currently. Okay, cool. But yeah, would definitely be cool to get a community meeting with the folks from Rain and console and chat about that. Cool. Next question. Can you connect me to a development hub where I can learn about smart contract programming in Near? Yeah, totally. I would say, we have Near.University and then Near Education. So it's Near.University, which is run by the Near Foundation, and there's Near.Academy, which is like a third-party tool. There also is something in the works with third party that's going to be doing a course, but yeah, if you want to reach out to the DevRel team, I'd be more than happy to chat with you guys, or anyone from our team. If you go to near.org/office hours, office-hours, I'll drop that in the chat. And yeah, we have office hours twice daily. Happy to give you some resources on where to get started when programming on Near. And then last question, a lot of questions today.
Yeah, great.
Resocial logging. So what measures are being taken to avoid Sybil attacks? Or would dApps have to account for custodial versus non-custodial wallet types in their logging logic?
Okay, this is a great question. So this talks about like, how do we manage keys? So the idea of the current library that we're using, when we're creating a public-private key, the private key is actually split into parts. So you can actually have like one part that is stored on your local device, one part that's stored in a social logging, one part that you can like write it down, and you can generate many parts. This really gets into like social recovery that we're going to talk about in the future for wallet selector. But having X number out of Y number of those keys give you access to be able to log into your account and sign transactions. So this is how we're not going to be custodial. That's something that we're very clear on. And so this is a current plan with this scope of work. Now, in the future, there's also thinking of how we distribute the keys. We can even potentially distribute those keys across the validator nodes. So that's really getting into more of like very far out ideation stage, how we want to manage the keys. Now, once you have the keys, wallets support importing key, import account by private key. This is something that's already built as a part of wallet transition. So the user can actually just like import the key into a wallet, and going forward, not use the social logging, but use the wallet that they import the key to log in. And we're doing something very interesting there too. We're going to be able to, suggest to the user like, hey, you've logged into a wallet previously, you can continue to log into the same wallet Right now on the list of wallets you saw, the order is specified by the developer. So if a user is using a wallet like 5th on the list, they have to go down to 5th on the list, which is not really great from a user's perspective. So we're getting smarter with the way that we present wallets to users. Okay, next question.
Someone, well, he followed up with something like, so multi-sig question mark access keys. He's a little, yeah, I guess so. He's asking again about multi-sig and access keys and how that'll work with wallet selector. So it being non-custodial.
Yeah, we're non-custodial, so we were not going to be storing your keys. Your keys will be stored in your on your devices, on the hardware of your device, on a social login, so pieces of it, or you can write it down. And you need X add a Y number of those partitions to construct a key to sign transactions.
Cool. Last question I have here before we move on. What is the timeline for NEP 366 meta transactions? Is that standard implementation already? I would say that this is a question for the protocol team.
Yes.
And this is going to be a shameless plug. Thank you for asking this question. Right after this meeting, we're going to be hosting protocol office hours in Discord. So once a week, the protocol team is going to be hanging out in Discord. Yeah, if you go to the same website, near.org/office-hours, there's a DevRel side where we'll help you, teach you how to use all these tools that the DevTools team creates. We'll teach you how to build on Near. But yeah, if you want to peek under the hood and understand how the blockchain works and, ask about sharding or ask about anything, block production, chunk producing, validators, all that stuff. Office hours for protocol, we'll be doing that once a week. So yeah, right after this meeting at the top of the hour, come hang out with us on Discord, ask any question you have. Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
So on the timeline, I think we're looking to actually land that pretty quickly, hopefully by the end of the year. And I know the protocol team is already doing the implementation for this. So it's super exciting. I think it's going to open the door for mass adoption, especially it's going to remove a lot of the pain points today during user onboarding. So yeah, very excited to see it come to fruition. Super
exciting. Cool. I think we've got through all of our all of our questions. Thanks so much, everyone, for asking. I think we're ready to move on to the next slide. Talk about Near API JS, my favorite tool.
Awesome. Yeah, Near API JS is getting a lot of love from the community. So we made massive changes to the library, a lot of new features and fixes at NearConf. So thanks everyone for your contribution and support. So I'm happy to report that we've now completed the first four initiatives, which is addressing the low-hanging fruit and the most difficult taxing issues from the DevX. We also built CI pipeline tests for this library. We wrote the public roadmap, blog posts, and community engagement, and improved our documentation. So thanks for DevRel for that. So now we're currently working on some modularization of the repo, and we're looking to release 3 repos, 3 packages. So one is the Near API JS core. Another is Near API JS browser, so for the browser environment. And the third is Near API JS for Node. So in the future, if you're using browser or Node, you know which one to import. If you're just using core like RPC provider functionality, you can just use the core. And also what's happening, what we hope to land by the end of the Q4 is to allow you to import ES6 modules. So that is the standard JavaScript module imports. Right now, we only support CommonJS, which is module imports for Node. And I know a lot of folks who are not using Node are asking for ES6 module imports. So that's coming. So next year, what follows next year? Oh, can we go back to the previous slide, please? Couple more. So what's coming next year is we're going to be enhancing each of the modules that's separated to support additional APIs that are environment specific. And we'll be looking at some of our classes and try to decouple classes where it makes sense. So this library is even more modular for you to use. And then finally, as the last thing, we are working on contract ABI. That is something that's very active in development. So once that ABI is created, we actually want to do something that's very similar to, Web3.js, Ether.js, where you can paste in your ABI and create a contract object with this ABI and be able to interact with that contract object in your API.js. So that's coming next. So very exciting. And as always, if you have feedbacks, please check out our Near API.js community survey and feel free to raise any issues and raise PRs on repo. We have a team that's actively looking at your issues and looking to improve the library. So cheers on that. Cool. All right, so now I'm getting into the JavaScript SDK and the ABI work that we're going to be delivering in this quarter and the future. So in the JavaScript SDK, we launched this SDK to onboard JavaScript developers at ETH Toronto. Now, we made a number of changes and improvements to the SDK for NearCon. What's upcoming is the team is working hard to implement and support the NFT standards. So this is going to be a big win for us. And we're also going to make changes to the function names to observe the JavaScript function name, which is, camel case instead of snake case, which you can see in typical Rust contracts. So this scope of work is planned for the near term. And then after that, we're going to be working on implementing the fungible token standards. With NFT and FT standards both implemented, we'll be releasing the JavaScript SDK version 1.0, which is a stable version. And this will be earlier next year. So very much looking forward to that. What comes after that is we are going to work on creating safe runtimes and hardening this library such that it gets to the point we get this out of beta into a much more mature library, and with the goal to eventually enable the financial use cases. So the SDK right now can be used for social, NFT, but eventually we want to get to the point where it's safe to run financial applications. Comments. Okay. And then and the plan for this quarter is to increase the number of contract deployed to testnet and to mainnet using the JavaScript SDK. So we're marketing these contracts. We're marketing this JavaScript stack and making sure we're taking your feedback for the JavaScript SDK and improving the features. Now I want to get into the ABI. The ABI is the interface to a smart contract. And even though we released ABI earlier this year, I'm becoming aware that not a lot of developers have heard about this ABI or know that you can use it, can generate it. So you can generate this ABI using our CLI, and it is available for Rust contracts. The plan for us is to also release the ABI for JavaScript contract using JSDoc. And that's one potential way of doing this. And we're looking to do that by Q4 so that all contracts on Near can have an ABI. So this makes it very clear for contracts to interact with each other if there is an interface that's already defined. So the goal is the contracts in our supported language, JavaScript, Rust, can call each other in a type-safe way. And with this scope of work, we're making improvements and additions to the ABI examples and documentations and making those discoverable. So this will be an effort in collaboration with the DevRel team. And finally, for the ABI that we have released, we're going to add support for events and errors. So you can look at the ABI and understand what kind of information you can subscribe from the smart contract. And I think it was going to really help with making smart contracts be able to build and use each other in the ecosystem. So making this information available is definitely a move to make this ABI much more robust in the future. So there's a lot of work, as you can see, and we're really excited to build the JavaScript SDK. So
One question came through regarding the JavaScript hardening. Since this was mentioned, is the team considering also developing an auditing security tooling for the SDK similar to Slither?
So in this case, when we're talking about hardening, we're talking about hardening the JavaScript runtime itself. Not to say that it isn't a valuable thing to have more auditing tools, but specifically this is about making the stuff that runs your JavaScript code run it with sort of higher assurance and more surety. So yeah.
Cool. Yes, and we have a Froll in the house. Welcome, Froll.
Fro
How's it
is going
going?
to give us
Everybody.
an update at the end about what he's working, what he
Awesome.
actually released for us.
A wild Froll appears. I'm so excited. So excited. Cool. Yeah, if any other questions come up, please feel free to shoot them over. Otherwise, yeah, let's move on to next slide. Rust updates.
Right. So basically with Rust right now, what we're mainly focusing on is having sort of high level of stability, high level of performance, cleaning up APIs, improving testing. So right now we're not seeing a huge amount of sort of user visible changes, but what we do have is stabilizing these sort of new storage methods, which are slightly more efficient, and stabilizing specifically near SDK store, which basically pushes the flushing of changes to memory until the ephemeral to persistent memory until the end of the program run, which sort of will do fewer writes, which will save you gas, and will also stop sort of potential race conditions related from contention over pieces of memory during asynchronous computations. So you know, sort of it's going to be getting slightly faster, slightly easy to use, and slightly fewer foot guns in the future is the aim. So that's me.
Cool.
And as always, you have feedback, please use the Discord link and share your feedback with us. And now we have Fro, who is going to tell us about what he released for the Rust CLI. So thanks so much Fro for joining us.
Is there a slide for this, or
Unfortunately, we do not have a slide because
Oh,
we're not sure if
okay.
he couldn't
All
make
right.
it. So he's
It's
literally jumping
one
between-
plus, you know.
Nice. Are you going to do a demo? Are you doing live demo? Is that what we're
Yeah,
doing?
if I can
Nice.
share
Yeah,
my
you could share.
screen, that'd
You
be
should be able to
awesome.
share your screen.
Let me try. Here we
Cool.
go. Yeah, so well, it's sorry for shameless plug, but I feel like we can, you know, stop this madness, as somebody asked, and do some Rust here. Well, not exactly. We did use Rust, but the point was not even the Rust thing. I had this experiment running as a side project essentially, and we did it with the community a bit. And here the recording of how the new CLI experience could look like if you don't know what even to do. Oh, that was too quick. Let me do it step by step. So you type near CLI in your command line. You don't know what to do even. Ignore this dot / thingy, because if you install it in the system, you would just call near CLI. And then boom, right there, it just asks you what you actually want to deal with. Up to managing some of the account or dealing with the tokens. FT and FT are also supported. Whether you want to deal with the contracts you want to deploy or call functions, or you want to go wild and actually construct a raw transaction. By raw, I mean like just adding actions one by one into it. And once you select, for example, like tokens, I want to do some token management. So what it asks, what's your account, like on behalf of what account you will operate. So you type in your account name, then you have the list of options, and you just, I want to point out, you basically just go up and down with your arrow on a keyboard and select the option. You don't do any typing, and the whole process just guides you through. So let's see if we want to transfer NFT here, it asks you what the NFT contract you want to manipulate with. Particularly, as you know, NFT is basically a whole ecosystem of different contracts. Each of them holds the list of owned contracts on their own. And then what the contract did we use? Oh, it was Paras. Okay. And then you basically want to, if you want to send it somewhere, you select another account ID here. Specify token ID. It's not pretty yet. You need to take it from website or something like that. But the point is that the whole process is guided, and you specify all the tiny details here, and you never need to worry about the missing some parameter or messing up with precision. So you can you always, if you would enter just one without specific like near or something, it will just error on you. So you need to be very specific what you want. And then you can set up and configure different networks in a config file to use different RPC providers, whatnot, and then, oops, that was too quick. Then you have several options how to sign your transaction. You can use Ledger, you can use a keychain that is on disk, that is the default for near CLI, or you can even go and play very manual way and providing the plain text private key. Not very secure way, but very good for understanding some of the internals. The good thing is that before you actually commit to doing something with this near CLI, you always will be prompted for your action. So instead of just silently moving forward with signing your 100 mil near transfer or your valuable NFT, you will actually review your transaction ahead of time and decide whether you want to send it or display. Display is useful when you want to do some things offline on different machines. Just one would be your key holder, sort of you would prepare your transaction there, and then you would just pass the transaction that is already signed to some online place where it can manipulate, can submit your transaction on your behalf. Transaction being sent, boom. And there is one tiny bit that I want us to see here. So not only it shows that the transaction is successful and provides you a useful link, it also provides you with a command that would help you to replicate the same path again. So you don't need to type through the whole questionnaire ever again. You will get this command. You can use it as a script. You can manipulate with it. You can replace some parts of it. You can also cut it in, at certain point, and the CLI will pick it up and treat it as like partially answered flow, and will just proceed with the missing bits. So you don't need to decide whether you want to write the complete command versus just nothing. So you can always decide to keep in between. So yeah, that's that's basically it. You can find it under near.cli.rs website. And here is the releases page where you can basically download it for any platform, for Linux, Windows, Mac OS, and just it's a single binary. It's portable. You will never have any headache with Node version being upgraded and now you need to install near CLI or something like that. So it's a pretty neat embedded and like portable version of CLI. You can see some README and more details in here in the README file with all the other examples. Let me see if we updated the user guide here. So boom, boom, boom.
This is amazing. Like, I remember you starting working on this a while ago, and just like I haven't seen it since. And this like you came in with a mic drop. Like it's like at the end of the keynote, you're like, oh, one more thing. Let me just show you this amazing tool that's going to make your life so much easier. Wow,
Yeah.
that was super cool. Yeah, we need to get this in docs and we need to talk about this because yeah, I haven't seen how mature this tool has gotten. Wow.
Yeah, the good thing is we also like it's very composable, and we recently added support for today we added support for macOS keychain, so your keys wouldn't be stored on disk plain text anymore. So you can actually choose and save it in a secure storage. Finally.
This is amazing. This is so rad. Is this what you're doing in your free time? This is so cool.
Yeah. we need some engineering, relaxation session. That's where I
That's
take
so
this time.
cool. No, this is super cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I
I'm so
love
excited to play with this.
interactivity. It's so awesome. Now I just want this tool in all of our CLIs.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it actually supports. So we started at some point. DevTools team were involved in contributing their ideas at least, and even some implementations and experimentation. And we built in the support for extensions into the CLI. So it would follow Cargo style of extensions when you type like near CLI space dev or let's say dev and then space something. It would actually just pass the command execution to this near CLI dev commands instead, so you can build extensions very easily.
Right on.
Does this have all the like functionality of the traditional CLI?
I believe so. It's
Like it does dev deploys.
The one thing that is definitely missing there is telemetry. We don't track the usability of the thing yet, but we'll see. It's very important to actually know where the pain point there.
Cool. One question I see in the Q&A is near CLI going to be deprecated in favor of the Rust CLI?
Well,
not from my side.
No, not in the near term. We're going to make near CLI better, but we're not going to deprecate it in favor.
I think we just need to make it catch up to this.
Exactly.
Get some feature parity. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's super rad. Yeah, it's super cool. I can't wait to play with this tool. Cool. Anything else from the tooling team? Any other? One more thing is like I feel like just walks on stage. One more thing. Let me drop this in front of you. This is so cool. Cool. Well, yeah, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. We'll give a moment or two for any final questions. And yeah, no, this has been very informative tooling update and very engaging. Really excited to see a bunch of people joining and asking a bunch of questions. And yeah, like I said, shameless plug, in about 15 minutes, we're doing a protocol office hours in Discord. So yeah, if you want to ask any question about protocol things, come ask. I'm excied to get that initiative rolling, and I imagine it's going to be kind of slow going to begin with. So you'll definitely have plenty of time to pick a core dev's brain that's on the protocol team. Okay, one question came in. I get this question. Can developers expect to have the JS SDK as a tool for a final product as the library matures? Yeah, I believe we went over that earlier. Yeah, definitely trying to get it ready for financial use cases. But yeah, like Jane said, right now it's primarily for NFT social uses and kind of prototyping your project before you'd maybe want to upgrade to Rust, as that's a more mature SDK. But yeah, the goal is to get this in a position where people can use it for financial use cases, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
We want to onboard JavaScript developers, so that's definitely we want to make sure that they can build any applications, and that's a Go. I think it's Ecosystem Go for so we're supporting that.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, I don't see any other questions. So, with that, yeah, maybe we can have a few minutes to go mess around with the CLI that Vlad just released to us. But yeah, Vlad, yeah, let's talk about
Totally,
getting that in the
leave,
docs.
you leave your comments, you know.
Cool. Well, thanks so much everyone for joining. Thanks, yeah, David, Jane, Froll, for coming in and yeah, chatting with the community. Looking forward
Thanks
to
for having
feedback
me.
from all yours.
Thank you. See you at the next one.
Yeah.
See you guys next month.